Hello, class 11th student. Today I'm going to start your subject economics. Within that, part 1 is statistic for economics. This is chapter 1. Topic is concept of economics and significance of statistic in economics. Okay. Now, what things we are going to study? So, these are the things that we are going to learn here: definition of economics, economic problem, why it arises, economy and its component, factor of production, meaning of statistic, scope, limitation, importance. So these are the things that we are going to study here. Okay, now first of all, as a commerce student, you have to know what do you mean by economics, okay, and why we are studying this subject. So economics is what? Economics is also a science like other, okay, but it is a social science, okay. It is related to study of human behavior, those behavior that is related to allocation of scarce resources. Now what we mean by allocation? Allocation means best use. Allocation means best use, okay, best use of limited. Scarce means what? Limited resources. So how we are going to make optimum utilization, yeah, best utilization of limited resources, so that we are able to achieve three things: consumer can maximize their satisfaction, producer can maximize their profit, society can maximize its social welfare. So this is the reason why we are studying this subject. If our resources are unlimited, they are not scarce, so there is no need to study this subject. But if you talk about money, if you talk about capital, land, labor, all things are given, all things are limited, okay. On the other hand, human beings are having unlimited want. So because of that, there is requirement that we are going to make utilization of resources in a best manner. So, and what we want to achieve by utilizing best manner? So these the three things that we want to achieve. So I think it is clear. First, economics is what? It is a social science. It is related to allocation of resources so that we can achieve these three target. Okay. It is about making choice in the presence of scarcity. So this is another one line definition. If you feel that the above line is too tough, yeah, it is too lengthy, so you can just keep in your mind this line. It is about the making choice in presence of scarcity. Okay. Now, so till now you had understand we are learning this subject just because of scarceness of resources. So what is this scarceness? So scarcity means what? Scarcity means shortage of goods and resources in relation to their demand. In very simple line, if I will write कि demand of X good is greater than supply of X good. So this condition is what? This condition is related to scarcity of resources. Okay? And remember, scarcity is the root of all economic problem. Okay? So next important thing, as an economics student, you must know who is father of economics. So Adam Smith is known as a father of economics. Why? Because he provided wealth definition of economics in 1776, and the name of the book is Wealth of Nations. Okay, what he had written: economics is an inquiry into the factors that determine the wealth of the country. Okay, so remember, scarcity is the root cause of this subject. We are studying this subject. And who is the father? Adam Smith. Okay, now class, next is we learn now first what is economics, then what is scarcity. Scarcity is shortage of goods in relation to their demand, okay, yani less availability of good. Now Because of scarcity of resources, we face economic problem. So what is this economic problem? So economic problem is the, yeah, are the problems of choice, yeah, problems of selection of, या फिर आप बोल सकते हो allocating of scarce resources to other use due to the scarcity of resources. So in very simple language, if anyone will ask what do you mean by economic problems, economic problem is a problem of selection, a problem of choice, why we face. So we study further. These resources have alternative uses, which is why the problem of choice arise. Now what is alternative? You had learned about alternative questions, like there is written one question, there are four options, you have to pick up one. The same alternative means when we are able to make one thing in different way, when we are able to use one thing in different way, so that is alternative uses. Like electricity, milk, plot, land. Like if you are having a land, so you can use this land to open a school, open hospital, park. You can construct an apartment, you can use it as a residential for your own use. So you have to decide which one you want to do. So this is what alternative uses, and because of this alternative uses we are facing economic problem. Okay, now come to the next thing, why we face. So in detail here is given, human wants are unlimited, but the resources to satisfy those wants are limited, and those resources having alternative uses. So because of this condition, this we human being are having unlimited wants. Yani when suppose we are kid, so we want toys. When we become more younger, ठीक है, so with the passes of the time we want bicycle, after that we require a bike, after that we started to think, oh, there will be some any sporty bike, then we started to think about the car. So in this way, when one want is satisfied, another will take place. So our wants are unlimited, but how we are going to fulfill these wants? With the help of the money. That money is limited. You are not having such account, there is no foundation. In your account there is a limited money, in your family there is a limited, yeah, given income. Okay, so with the given income, your parents have to fulfill requirement or need of each family member. So in this way they face economic problem. Okay, now resources scarcity give rise to the problem of choice among consumer. They make rational choice to satisfy their want. So देखो, resources are limited, wants are unlimited, result is economic problem. We have to make the selection. Okay class, now next is economy and its component. So what do you mean by economy? Economy is a system in which people gets living to satisfy their want through the process of production, consumption, investment, exchange. So in this way it have four components. So what is economy? Economy is a system by which people gets their livelihood, they earn money to run their family, to satisfy their want. In this way there are four components. The first is what? Production. Production is what? Production is transformation of raw material into useful goods. Like you can take the example of timber. Timber is not directly useful, but when a carpenter made a chair, furniture, door, so it become useful. Okay, so production is what? Production means when raw material is transformed in useful things. Now consumption. So what is this? Consumption is the process of using of utility of any commodity. Uses of goods and services. It is related to uses of goods and services. If we use lot of goods and service, why? Because that good is able to satisfy a particular want. Like if you are thirsty, you are too much thirsty, so that time you are not going to eat something. That time you require water, juice, cold drink. Okay, If you're too much hungry, so that time you require some edible item. If you're feeling cold, so you require blower, yeah, jacket. If you're feeling too much hot today, yeah, there is too much humidity, so you require cooler AC. So a particular good, yeah, particular service is going to satisfy a particular want. Okay, so consumption is what? Uses of goods and services. Okay, class. Now, what about investment? So investment is a part of production which is committed for further income. In very simple language, investment is related to capital formation. Okay, yeah, you can write investment is what? Change in capital stock. So this is the definition of investment. Investment is related to purchase of new machinery, purchase of new plant, new equipment, so that a firm, yeah, a economy is able to produce more goods, more services, and there will be more money generation. Okay, now distribution. So it is what? Distribution is related to division of national income, yeah, distribution of national income among the factor of production. So what is this? देखो, there are four factor of production. Land. So when someone give its land to use to other, so that person is going to pay rent. जैसे if suppose you are on rent, you have taken a room on rent, so you have to pay rent. Okay. Labor. So when labor render his or her service, he is going to get in return wages. Okay. And capital, yani money. If you are having the money, you had given it to use any other person, so that person is going to give you interest in return. And last is entrepreneur. Entrepreneur gets profit. Why? Because he take initiative to assemble four factor of production and do the work of production. Okay, class. So investment is related to increase in production capacity or capital formation. Distribution is related to distribution of NI among the four factor of production. Now, consumer. So consumer who consume goods and services, that is known as a consumer. Producer who do the work of production is known as a producer. Service holder, a person who render his service as an employee in a government sector or private sector, they are considered as a service holder. Service provider, so who are self-employed, like a auto driver, transporter, so they are known as a service provider. Okay. Now, four factor of production. We had learned distribution is related to distribution of NI among the four factor of production. So, देखो, land, here is detail. Land, when it is a part of income, goes to the owner of the land in the form of rent. So, land get rent in return when you had given it to use to other. Labor, when a labor provide its service, in return he or she get wages. Capital, when you give someone else to use the money, so that person is going to make the payment, that is known as a interest. Like if you deposit your money in bank, so bank pay interest on that. Entrepreneur, so entrepreneur is the person who take risk. Because of that risk, there is production process, so that entrepreneur is going to be profit. So remember these things: land gets rent, labor gets wages, capital gets interest, and entrepreneur gets profit. Okay. Now, economic activity. Next is, what do you mean by economic activity and what do you mean by non-economic activity? Already you had learned in your class 10th. Okay. economic activity, those activity that is related to earning money, that is known as a economic activity. Like I'm teaching in divine public school and I'm getting the salary in return, so I'm doing economic activity. So any person who is doing anything and in return he's getting, yeah, she is getting money, so yani that person activity is considered as a economic activity. Okay. Why we do it to generate new income. Because of that there is increase in the flow of goods and services. Okay. Now non economic activity, so those activity which are not related to earn money. So within that we consider teacher teaching his own son, you are going to give charity, you worship every day, so that the religious activity, donation. Okay. A doctor is giving uh, consultancy free. So these things are non economic. When you are doing anything but you are not taking money, so that is non. Like I'm teaching in divine, I'm getting the salary, so I'm doing economic activity. But when I'm teaching my own child, so that is non. Why? Because I'm not getting anything in return, matlab money, I'm not getting money. Okay class. Now, so the first part of this chapter has over all about the economics. Now we are going to discuss about the statistic. So what do you mean by statistic? So statistic is the quantitative information of facts and figure. So when we express any economic problem, social economic problem in data, in figure, so that is what, that is a statistic. Like when we say ki there is too much poverty, but when we say this statement with the data, so this becomes a statistic. Okay. Now always a statistic is explained in two sense, या two way. First is in singular sense and second is in plural sense. In singular sense, statistic means collection, organization, presentation, analysis, interpretation of data. Yeah, in very simple way, in singular sense, statistic means statistical methods. Okay, so you can learn this one also. Okay, and what are these methods? So collection, organization, presentation, analysis and interpretation. Okay. Now if I talk about the plural sense, so in plural sense statistic means information in terms of number, like numerical data regarding population. Okay. So I think it is clear. Statistic means quantitative information. Okay. When any social economic issue is explained in data, in numbers, so it becomes a statistic. Singular sense statistic means statistical data. In plural sense statistic means numbers. Okay. Now characteristic of statistic in plural sense, so it is related to aggregates of fact. Aggregates of fact, what do you mean by aggregates of fact? So student, aggregates of fact means it does not study individual unit. If I say कि I'm getting 20 या 30,000 rupees, a cow is having 4 leg, Ram is taller than Sham, so these are not a statistic. Statistic is what it is related to aggregates of fact, यानी कि it is not the study of particular person. ठीक है. Now second feature is numerically expressed. A statistic is related to only those that we can express in number. For example, like beauty, wisdom, intelligence. So these things we cannot express in number, so these cannot be a statistic. Okay, so that is written here. Now next is affected by multiple of causes, like for example, price of a product, price of uh, any product, like take the example of price of mobile. So what will be the price of a mobile? It is not going to depend upon one thing. There are many factors. Okay, demand, cost, okay, cost, technology, people's income, taste and preference. So there are many factors that affect the price of a mobile. So that is given here. Price of anything, supply of any commodity. It is not affected by only one factor. It is the result. Yeah, there are many factors that affect it. Okay. Now, next characteristic of a statistic is reasonable accuracy. Data must be accurate. If data are not accurate, it is not going to give you true result. Now next is collection in a systematic manner. So we should always collect the data in a proper manner, in a systematic manner. Okay, then only we get accurate result. Predetermined purpose. When we start to do the collection of the data, first we have to decide what purpose, for what we want to do inquiry, for what we want to collect the data, placed in relation to each other. Okay, uh, we should write all the reference, we should write all the detail when we are writing the data, otherwise it is going to give you incomplete and misleading effect. Okay, now function of a statistic. What statistic do? So statistics simplify complexity. So statistic make any social economic problem simple. Okay, like GDP. When we compare GDP of 2 or 3 years, so just one figure, one number is able to tell you there is growth in the economy or not. Next is it expresses fact in number. Okay, it expresses facts in number. It's mean what? यानी कि in statistic we are able to express anything, any social economic problem with the help of the number, and it explain more sincerely the problem. Like if I say that there is too much poverty, so you cannot understand the seriousness of the problem. But if I say that 21.9% people below the poverty line, so it explains that more than 30 crore people are poor, who cannot afford goods and services at market price. It's mean what? It's mean that key nearby the population of America, in India that much population is poor. So this is a very critical condition. Now it present data in condensed form. So mass data, it is able to explain whole scenario with the condensed, yani simple data is able to explain whole scenario, like per capita income, GDP growth. It explain what is the condition of, what is the condition of health of our economy. Now statistic compares different phenomena. So statistic yani number help us to compare different phenomena, like COVID in first phase, COVID in second phase, in which phase there is more seriousness. So we are able to understand these things, death rate, recovery rate, how many people died. So all these things are what? All these things are data, and these data are very helpful to understand, okay, what is the condition and how we can overcome from this condition and how we can prepare for the future. Okay, now next is statistic is helpful in formation of policy. So tax policy, subsidy policy, uh, there should be lockdown, there will be some freedom in, yeah, liberal government is going to liberal in lockdown rules. So all things depend upon the number. Recently government had decided where more than 600, the cases are more than 600, so that cities are going to be follow the rule of lockdown. So how government has decided? They has taken this decision on the basis of number. So yeah, remember, government always make the policy with the help of the data. Now next is statistic is helpful in economic forecasting. Forecasting means what? Forecasting means it is related to prediction. Okay, what will be in near future? Like we talk about the population. In our India, there is a population growth is 1.83. If we are not going to control it, we are not going to make any policy, we are not going to do any awareness, and in same ratio, if our population is going to increase, so no doubt after few years we are going to be have first rank and China is going to be behind us. So this type of forecasting we are able to do with the help of the data. It facilitate comparison. GDP of China, GDP of India, GDP of America, Britain. So we can compare these data कि which country is most affected by this COVID, this lockdown. So it facilitate comparison. It is useful in testing the law of other science. Okay, so it is very helpful. There are many theory, law of demand, law of supply. So it is true or not true. So we are able to help to test it. It help in establishment of correlation between two fact. Okay, like if we are hearing in the news that ki if people are vaccinated 70 or 80%, so we are going to recover, we are going to do much better, okay, in COVID situation, and there will be less chances of lockdown and other things, and there will be less chances of a new wave of COVID. So it very helpful to make the relation between two fact. Now, limitation of a statistic. A statistic does not study individual. So when we had learned about the features, so it is a study of aggregates of fact, and it is never related to study of anyone. Now, statistic results might lead to fallacious conclusion. If data are not accurate, so it can give you false conclusion, wrong, या misleading result. Statistic deals with quantitative fact. Immediately we had learned that it is only related to those that we can express in number, like beauty, intelligence, honesty. These things we cannot reflect in numbers, so these are not part of a statistic. A statistic always study those things that we can represent in number. Statistic laws are true only on average. Yes. It is never, you don't apply it on a particular person. Like if I say that there are 50.5 students are present, if I calculate the average and I say that 50.5 students are present, so zero point 0.5 means what? Half. So it is a laughable conclusion. So it is always fixed on aggregate. You cannot fix on a particular, like if I say कि per capita income of India is 20,000, it does not mean कि every Indian is getting 20,000. Okay, now statistic law are true only on average. So it is always a average number. Average number is that number that is a central value that reflect general feature, general characteristic of a particular population. Okay, only expert can make the best possible utilization of a statistic. Remember, a statistic is not for the lay person, it is not for the common people, it is always for the expert people. Okay, uniformity and homogeneity of data is essential. Uniformity or homogeneity means what? Data is going to be similar. Like if you had taken two classes to compare 11th C and one side at 11th B. If there is height, so there should also be height. If there is height and there is weight, you cannot make the compare. So that is given here. Misuse of statistic, indeed its greatest limitation, because misuse of statistic is possible. Okay, so if you collect wrong data, so it is going to be conclude, there will be wrong conclusion. So there is always possibility of misuse of a statistic. Okay, study of aggregates only, already I had told you, without reference result may be proved to be wrong. What do you mean by this? If you had not written all the detail, so you cannot explain it, it is going to wrong explanation. Like suppose if I write here 4 2 8 10 and I had written nothing, so these number is not capable to explain anything. But if I write here price of x and demand of x, so easily you can understand it is related to law of demand. Okay class, why? When price decreases, demand increases. Okay, just if I write these four numbers, so it doesn't explain anything, but when I write price of x, demand of x, immediately your mind click, it is what? It is law of demand. Okay, now importance of a statistic. A statistic is very important in day to day life. How? So first is quantifying economic quantifying economic problem. So there is so many problem we face: unemployment, poverty, rural development, women empowerment. So these problem we are able to explain these problem in a quantitative manner. Here is given unemployment is said to be 20% of India's working population. So you are able to understand seriousness of the problem. Next is intersectoral compare. Intersector compare is related to comparison between rural, urban, primary sector, tertiary sector, manufacturing sector. Here is given one example. Looking after the impact of unemployment in different sector like rural and urban. Like in COVID, there is lockdown. So where we find more unemployment, in rural area or in urban area. So this is intersector comparison. Now, next is cause and effect relationship. So, if there is unemployment, so why? What are the reason behind it? So, it explain those things. Formulation policy. So, with the help of the economics, government makes many policies. Economic equilibrium. If there is condition of inflation, there is condition of deflation. To government follow monetary and fiscal policy according to that. Now, next is constructing economic theory. So, there are so many theory: law of demand, demand, theory of supply, okay, producer behavior. So, all these came in existence when economists had collected the data, they generalize it, then they are able to construct these theory. So, without data, we can't have any theory. Okay, class. Now, thank you. Your first chapter has covered. When you are listening this video, first you are going to have your book, have your copy. Okay, listen the video, and before listening the video, first you read the book, read the lesson, then listen the video, and again read the book. And if still you are having any problem, so ask in your class. Thank you.